What's up, Creepers and Geekers? Hey, how's it going, everybody? Chris the Atari Creep here. And a little something different for you today. This is way out of my norm. No, I'm not going to start doing top 10 videos. But the idea came in my mind. I said, that'd make a great video. So with a new year, not necessarily new format, because I don't really have a format, but something different out of my realm, out of my comfort zone. Just to keep, the gears rolling. Now, when something like Atari infiltrates the mainstream, you can, for shit sure, understand that it's going to be immersed within pop culture. Almost like pop culture within pop culture. It's like a sandwich, and you get to eat it up and enjoy it. And that's why I thought this video would be fun. So here are, in no particular order, 10 examples of Atari cameos within film and television. But first, let's start off with an honorable mention. The AVGN movie, Angry Video Game Nerd, the movie. How could this not be on the list somewhere? But I didn't want to put it in with the 10, because it's just too obvious. It's a movie about a video game reviewer that reviews bad games, who basically keeps getting harassed to review E.T. for the Atari 2600. And he wants to avoid it at all costs. And of course, everyone keeps throwing down his throat the theories of the landfill and all the urban legends behind the game. And he finally sets out to say, you know what? I'm going to use this opportunity, ones that come across his lap, to disprove this to everyone so they can finally shut up about it. It's a real funny movie if you're into that. There's a lot of vulgar language and such, so it's obviously not for children. But if you can handle some very juvenile humor and you like Atari, this is a great movie. Cloak and Dagger. Is that even in the film? Okay, there we go. Cloak and Dagger. Another obvious mention. It's a movie that came out in the early 80s. It has Henry Thomas, the guy who was famous for E.T., playing Elliot. And he stumbles upon a cartridge called Cloak and Dagger that has government secrets for a plane, a jet plane, whatever you want to call it. But within the movie, there's tons of Atari cameos from 5200, 2600. There's Atari computers. It's a fun movie. Again, not to give you movie reviews. I just want to point out certain highlights. But it's a fun little movie, and it's based around Atari. So how could that not be on the list? Now that the honorable mentions are out of the way, number 10, Poltergeist. I felt like I wanted to start off with this one. It's one of my favorite scarier movies from the 80s. It's a ghost movie done well. And those are real tough to do. But if you look at the television in the parents' bedroom, right above it, in many scenes, you'll see there's an Atari 2600 console on there. And I find it interesting that they decided to put it in the parents' room and not down in the living room. If it does show up down there, refresh my memory. Again, leave comments down below. But yeah, number 10, Poltergeist. Number 9, E.T. I mean, come on, Henry Thomas, E.T. Within the movie E.T., you could see an Atari console on top of their television. I'm going to guess it's a Vader model, but from the little images that I've seen, and I haven't seen the movie in a long time, but they're so grainy and dark. It could be a Vader model. It could be a Woody. I don't know offhand. But it's clearly on top of the television when E.T.'s watching TV or Gertie's trying to teach him English through Sesame Street or whatever that is. Another side note, E.T.'s brother, or Elliot's brother, is wearing a Space Invaders shirt at some time. Now, that's not necessarily Atari, but there is an Atari cartridge that came out similar to that time period for the Atari 2600, which actually blew the Atari 2600 up in sales. So that was number 9, E.T. Number 8. Now, this is a weird one. Atari itself didn't make that much of a cameo in it at all. I can't seem to remember actually physically seeing an Atari in this movie. But for number 8, I'm picking Superman 3. Within Superman 3, near the climax, that's an old joke. I gotta stop using that. Superman's coming into the Grand Canyon to save the day. And the villains get this big supercomputer up and going. They're shooting missiles at him. But within the computer itself, you hear a lot of Atari sounds. You hear the sound of Pac-Man getting killed by a ghost from the Atari 2600 cartridge. You hear the boot up sound like doo-dee, doo-dee. I believe you hear some kind of Missile Command shooting sounds, or maybe even Space Invaders. And there's a whole bunch of other random sounds within that one scene that come directly from the Atari 2600. And I remember even as a kid when I watched that when it was fairly new, picked up on it right away. So, bad movie in most opinion, but pretty neat to see. Nerds! Revenge of the Nerds. I believe the character's name was Wormser, that young kid that was in college, the prodigy. When they lose their dorm and he's in the, they're in the gymnasium, you clearly see him playing an Atari 2600 Vader. I can't remember what the game is, and I'm just thinking this off the top of my head. I'll pop a picture up so you can see what game it is. But yeah, you can clearly see it between, just above the bed or between the bed frames, and he's got that joystick in his hand, and they got an old 50 style tube TV. And it just looked amazing. I love that. It's burnt in my brain. Just notably later on when they finally get their own home, and they start their little, I'm going to call it a sorority, just because I'm an asshole that way. When they start their frat, it's right there on top of the television. So, Revenge of the Nerds, number 7. Number 6, Airplane, the movie. What a funny movie. I mean, I can't think of any other movie from the 80s that has more quotable catchphrases and lines that people use even to this day. Funny as hell, very satirical, my kind of humor. But on the subject of Atari, within the movie, you see a couple of air traffic control individuals who are supposed to be watching a radar to make sure, things are safe up in the sky. But instead, they're doing what everyone should be doing, playing basketball in the Atari 2600. So number 6, Airplane. Number 5, let's delve into a little bit of television. Whenever something becomes mainstream, of course, within pop culture, it gets weaved in there. And there's an episode of Three's Company where Jack and Janet are playing, again, clearly, an Atari 2600 Vader model. I couldn't pull up the episode. I was going to and try to listen to what game it was because you only see the back of the TV screen, but you clearly see the console on the table and, of course, joysticks in their hands. So I don't know what game they're actually playing. If you know, let me know in the comments. But Three's Company, number 5, Atari 2600 Vader model. Number 4, Stranger Things. How could I not have that on this list? And for shit sure, the Atari was going to weave its evil little head somewhere in there. That television program, technically, I guess you call it that, it's a Netflix series, was everything the 80s was. It was amazing. And it wasn't just a time period television series. It actually felt like something that came from the time period. But onto the Atari Cameo. I searched through them all looking for, I knew it was there, and I remember seeing it, but all I could find was an image of 2 Atari 2600 cartridges up on top of the television, I believe in Mike's home. If you know of any console cameos or anything else, like a shirt reference or something like that I missed, which I know I have to have, leave it in the comments below. So number 4, Stranger Things, Atari 2600 cartridges. Number 3, Blade Runner. Now, there's not really much I can really say about Blade Runner because it's an amazing movie. And if you haven't seen it, I suggest going to see it now or renting it or purchasing it. I have it here if you want to come over. I got popcorn too, so plenty of soda. Come on over. We'll watch Blade Runner. And with the new one coming out, I don't really want to say much about the movie. The Atari Cameo, as short and sweet as it is in an alley in the city. Harrison Ford's character, his name is Rick. And if you look in the background, you see a great big Atari sign. Image will be popped up. So number 3, Blade Runner. Great fucking flick. Number 2, the movie Jobs. Jobs, not Jaws, the shark. Jobs. Ashton Kutcher plays Steve Jobs in his and his rise within his own company of Apple. But they show a brief part of his history with Atari. And I guess, in a way, it's a cameo. I mean, he's definitely there in the Atari offices. You see the signs behind him and everything. And it shows a little bit of snippets of him and his buddy working on Breakout. So it shows a little bit of the game right there and then. So Steve Jobs, number 2, the movie Jobs. Number 1. Again, this wasn't in any particular order, but Road Trip. It's a movie from the early 2000s. I want to say actually 2000 itself. It's a vulgar comedy, so if that's your kind of thing, it's crude and it's funny as hell. But the character Kyle, and it's funny when I IMDb'd it just to get the character's name because I couldn't remember. I haven't seen the movie since probably 2000. But I do remember there was a scene where he had an Atari t-shirt on. And when I IMDb'd it just to get his name, sure as fuck, the main image right there is him wearing that shirt and pouring maple syrup. So number 1, the movie Road Trip. I almost said Roadhouse. That's a great flick too. Kyle wearing an Atari t-shirt. Number 1. So guys, that's it. 10 examples of Atari infiltrating entertainment in a cameo capacity. Just thought it'd be just something a little bit different, a little out of my norm, a little out of my comfort zone to do, and it just seemed fun. So I came up with it real quick. Now, mind you, I didn't research any of it. These are just ones that came to my mind, and I did have to look up a few things so I can give you the proper information. But I'm for shit sure there are a ton more out there. But I just wanted to give you 10 with one extra on top of that. If this is something that you like, maybe I'll do some research and do a part 2 to this. Maybe I'll never revisit it again. Who knows? I don't even know what I'm going to do tomorrow. But with that, guys, thanks as always for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down, leave a feedback. All feedback's positive to me. And hope everyone's doing well. Take care. And bye-bye.